Someone has to tell her the truth. You are always busy praising her instead of being honest with her, Nkoyo said to her husband. She turned to Iniobong, who had stopped crying. You rushed into that marriage because you were desperate and nobody wanted you. So face the music and stop crying like a spoiled child, Nkoyo said. That is enough. You're hurting her, Chief Eded yelled. Seeing Bayo made Iniobong very anxious. Iniobong got up and hurriedly walked out. All of a sudden, she couldn't breathe. She walked to her car as fast as her legs could carry her. She leaned on the car and tried to catch her breath. Seeing Bayo again after 5 years brought back a lot of bad memories. The memory of standing in her empty sitting room with her newborn in her arms replayed in her mind. Iniobong suddenly felt weak and could no longer stand. She opened her car and sat down. Iniobong dissolved into tears. The pain and the turmoil suddenly hit her like a brick. She cried until tears would no longer come. Iniobong turned on the ignition of her car and drove to her father's house. She needed the solace and succor only her father could provide. Iniobong was about to receive much more than she could have ever imagined. When she got to the house, her father was sitting in his living room and a game of soccer was on the television. Immediately Chief Ede saw his daughter, he switched off the television. Ini, what's the matter? Her father asked. Come sit beside your father, Chief Ede said. Immediately Iniobong sat beside her father. The tears she had been holding back flowed down her cheeks. My queen, what's making you cry? Talk to your father, Chief Ede said. It's Bayo, Iniobong said, as she struggled to talk amidst the tears. Chief Ede was confused. What happened to him? He asked. I saw him, Iniobong said, and she cried some more. Chief Edet held his daughter while she cried. After a while, she became calm. Her father asked Iniobong's mother to bring her water to drink. Nkoyo, Iniobong's mother, brought her water and sat with them in the living room. Iniobong proceeded to tell her father everything. Chief Edet was livid. He couldn't believe what he just heard. You mean that rat wants you to help him, even after everything he put you through? Chief Edet asked, completely astonished. How could he? How could he not? Nkoyo said. Chief Edet turned to his wife. What do you mean by that? He asked. She got what she deserved, Nkoyo said, with a stern look on her face. Everywhere was quiet. Nkoyo, I don't seem to understand what you're saying. Are you kicking our daughter while she's down? Do you really have to say mean things to her right now? Chief Edet asked. Someone has to tell her the truth. You are always busy praising her instead of being honest with her, Nkoyo said to her husband. She turned to Iniobong, who had stopped crying. You rushed into that marriage because you were desperate and nobody wanted you. So face the music and stop crying like a spoiled child, Nkoyo said. That is enough. You're hurting her, Chief Eded yelled. If she was desperate, it was because you made her life a living hell. It's exactly the way her mother made my life a living hell, Nkoyo said. Iniobong was shocked. Dad, what is she saying? Iniobong asked her father. Nkoyo, please don't do this, Chief Eded begged his wife. Dad, what is going on here? Iniobong asked again. It's time you know the truth. You're no longer a child, Nkoyo said. Nkoyo, You promised you would never tell her. Why are you so mean? Chief Edet asked his wife. Chief Edet turned to his daughter. He knew what he was about to say to her would break her heart, but he knew she had to know the truth. I am so sorry. You have to find out this way. Please hear me out first, Chief Edet said as he began narrating his story. Years ago, Nkoyo and I were college sweethearts. I had already promised to marry her, but during our last year in college, she got pregnant. By the time we found out, she was already 6 months gone. It was a cryptic pregnancy, so we had to keep it, even though we were not financially ready for a child. All through the pregnancy and even when she delivered, your first sister, Nkoyo made my life a living hell. During the day, I battled with schoolwork and my day job. And at night, she nagged and tortured me. I began to dread going home. And gradually, I spent some nights at Ekabong's house. Ekabong was my best friend. We were so close, and whenever I stayed over at her place, I had some respite from Koyo's nagging and torture. One thing led to another, and Ekabong and I became intimate. 1 month after the incident, Ekabong told me she was pregnant. I didn't know how to tell Nkoyo about the pregnancy. So, Ekabong and I kept it to ourselves. After she gave birth, she developed a lot of complications and passed away. But before she died, she held you in her arms and blessed you. She is one of the kindest and loving person I have ever known. She is the one who named you. You look just like her. I told Nkoyo about what had transpired between Ekabong and I. I told her about you. I was ready to walk away from our relationship if she was not going to accept you and raise you as her daughter. She agreed and promised to never tell you she is not your biological mother. I just didn't want you to grow up without a mother. But every time I heard her abuse you and degrade you with her words and actions, it broke my heart. I am so sorry, my daughter. I never meant to hurt you. Iniobong could not hold back the tears. She turned to her father. But you did hurt me, Dad, she said. Every day, I wondered why she treated me with so much contempt. I thought having good grades would make her love me, but it didn't. I cooked, I cleaned, but she hated me even more. I thought getting married would appease her, but it didn't. If I had known that she wasn't my mother, I wouldn't have lived all my life feeling unworthy, craving for her love and acceptance. Iniobong got up and walked out of the sitting room. She got into her car and drove off. While she drove home, Iniobong couldn't comprehend how a day that had started beautifully had become a disaster. In a few hours, her life had changed from a happy fairy tale to a complete nightmare. From Bayo showing up to her finding out that the woman she had called mother all these years was not her mother. Her day had been very chaotic and emotionally draining. But it finally made sense. Iniobong now understood why her stepmother and Koyo disliked her so much. Well, Iniobong thought her day was chaotic. She had no idea that things were about to get worse. Kingsley Chinedu, Iniobong's husband, was an intellectual property, entertainment, and a corporate lawyer. He and Iniobong owned a law firm. Life was good for Kingsley, and as he sat by the pool in his home, he had no idea of the storm that was brewing. Iniobong had gotten home, and had lunch. She needed to share the event of the day with her husband, like they always do, but this time she dreaded it. How was she going to tell her husband that she just found out that after 39 years, that the woman she had called her mother was not even her mother? The worst was the fact that her runaway husband had resurfaced and was asking her for help. Iniobong had called Okoko and told him how displeased she was with him for setting her up to represent her ex-husband in court. Okoko apologized and told her that their mutual friend Shola had pleaded with her to ask Iniobong to help her cousin. Iniobong couldn't believe that Shola could be so sneaky and wicked. She now understood that Okoko did not set her up on purpose. Okoko had not attended her wedding, so she had no idea that Iniobong had married Shola's cousin. Iniobong had not known it was Bayo when she went to the prison to see him, because he was bearing a different name. Iniobong was really curious as to why Bayo was now bearing a different name. After she had freshened up, she went over to the pool to meet her husband. Immediately he saw her, he got up and hugged her. Kingsley was a very affectionate man. He was very gentle and loving. Welcoming her with a hug was just like breathing to him. When they first met, she thought he was just pretending, but after 2 years of marriage, Iniobong knew that Kingsley was fundamentally a kind and romantic husband. It was the way he doted on her daughter that captured Iniobong's heart. Kingsley was a good man. Before Iniobong could tell him about Bayo, Kingsley told Iniobong about his aunt who lived in the United States, who had been robbed of everything she had. By the time Kingsley finished talking, Iniobong was shivering. She couldn't believe what his aunt must have gone through. Iniobong had flashbacks of when she had to shop for clothes because Bayo had stolen everything she owned. Would you be able to handle the case, or do I get any of the other lawyers to handle it? Kingsley asked. Iniobong decided she would not be handling the case. It reminded her too much of her experience with Bayo. She then proceeded to tell her husband about everything that had happened to her, from her thieving ex-husband to her verbally abusive stepmother. Kingsley was very understanding and sympathetic. Iniobong had known that talking to Kingsley would cheer her up. Kingsley also told her that if she decides to forgive Bayo and represent him in court, he will support her. A few weeks later, a preliminary hearing had been fixed for Kingsley's aunt's case. While they were waiting at the court for the first hearing, a door opened and in walked Bayo. Iniobong turned to Kingsley, confused. "That is Bayo," she whispered to Kingsley. "What is he doing here?" "That is the man that stole from my aunt," Kingsley said. Iniobong started gasping for breath. Seeing Bayo gave her a panic attack. Iniobong couldn't stay for the proceedings to start. She went home. The doctor came over to the house and insisted she should be put on bed rest for the safety of the baby. Iniobong thought about how everything had come full circle. The same man who had physically and emotionally tortured her was now at her mercy. After deliberating for days, Iniobong took a decision and she felt peace within herself. She decided to let another lawyer in the firm represent Kingsley's aunt. Iniobong made sure she sat through the whole case and watched him get sentenced. After her case with Kingsley's aunt was done, Iniobong filed a case against Bayo. The counts were many, starting from inflicting bodily harm to fraud. Iniobong needed that closure. She needed justice, and it was served because he was found guilty of all the charges that were leveled against him. Iniobong felt peace within herself. Then she went over to her father's house to have a talk with her father and her stepmother. "You should not have lied to me about my mother. Even though she's dead, I still want to know everything about her. I want to celebrate her life, and I need to meet her relations that are still alive, Iniobong said to her father. I have forgiven you, Iniobong said to him. Mom, she said, and looks at Nkoyo. I don't hate you, even after finding out what happened. I understand how you felt having to raise a loved child from your husband's indiscretion. I am sorry that hurt you. I forgive you for all those years of verbal abuse. I really need space from both of you. But I will come back when I am ready, Iniobong said. She got to her feet, and before she left, she turned to the both of them and whispered, I love you both regardless. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me, do you like the way the story ended? Do you like the way Iniobong made sure Bayo got what he deserved? Leave me a comment and tell me what you think about the story. Please share this story to a friend or two that you feel will like it. Thank you.